just go ahead and get started then. And I just want to thank you both, Caleb and Kelsey, for taking the time to chat with us at the Christian Beat on behalf of yourself and the rock music and all about the latest EP that was
Mhm.
released. So, congratulations and thanks.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for
thanks
having
so
us.
much for having us on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I guess I just kind of want to start. Um, with kind of like your original vision for the EP, kind of like the message, the theme, and if that changed or
Mhm.
morphed and transformed for you as you worked on the project until it was released.
Sure. Yeah, I would say it definitely did change and morph as we went along. It wasn't even necessarily starting out as an EP. We were just recording first. I think the first song we recorded was an old original that we had done a live version of years ago, and we had never done a studio version. It's a song Kelsey and I wrote. It's our first song we wrote called Holy Savior. And that was the first song off the project that we recorded. And so it just kind of started as recording a couple songs. Then we recorded a few covers that our church had really enjoyed singing, that we had kind of put our own spin on.
Mhm.
And so that morphed. And then we had an opportunity to write a song with a guy out in Nashville named Joel Vaughn, myself, and another guy from the rock music, Steel Crosswhite. And Joel, we wrote a song called No One Knows Me Like You.
Mhm.
And that kind of formed the EP at that point, that this was a project now that we could wrap some skin around and um, so it wasn't necessarily a theme at first, but
Mhm.
I think God definitely he has a plan always. He's sovereign, and so it seemed that this theme of finding a place and a home in Jesus, that He provides for us, singing about heaven, that theme, a personal relationship with Him. Uh, Kind of came out of that. And then we rounded out the project with a song Kelsey had written years ago that we've sang along the years, and we had never recorded, called Revolution Medicine. And so long answer, that's how kind of the theme formed. That we landed on the title for No One Knows Me Like You because it just seemed like the highlight track of the EP. And
Mhm.
even in that, the theme of God knowing us and have a relationship with Him and finding a home in Him kind of sang through that. So,
Yeah, it's always interesting for me personally when there's title tracks on projects because it seems to me that it's either like it was the first thing that dictated it all, or it
mhm.
came in near the end and was just like, yes, this is what we were trying to get at. So it's always interesting to hear, either of those kind of play out as they come together with that.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun to see how God forms that and morphs that, and
Mhm.
um, or even some subconscious decisions you make along the way, how that theme runs along. And so I think that track totally uh, kind of pointed us in the right direction after we had a few songs already recorded. And so,
No, for sure. And I know that you recently had a music video for that track that also came
mm,
out. Just curious kind of what that experience was like and being able to kind of weave a story through a visual component to kind of match
mhm.
the lyrics and the music.
Certainly, yeah. We haven't done too many music videos over the years. We've been releasing original music for 20 years with the
Mhm.
rock music and our local church here in Utah. We've done a lot of like live performance videos or kind of where you fake that you're playing along with the music, kind of a live performance, if you will. But our publicist, friend Brian, he encouraged us to try doing a full-on music video.
Mhm.
And so it was a fun creative process. Me and a brother in our church who's on staff, who does our videos, for us to creatively think out how we could visually tell that story. The song definitely speaks of walking with God and sharing your doubts and your fears and your shame and your guilt, the things that we carry, and to visually show that of whether for me it's driving in the car or we have some beautiful mountains here, walking through nature or on a walk, just kind of talking to Jesus and being like, God, you know all that I am thinking, all that before I even think it, And so to just stand and rest really and rejoice in that God knows me more than anyone else and that he loves me more than anyone else, despite knowing the things that no one else knows, that goes into my heart and my mind. So it was a fun project to be able to put together. So we're glad to do it.
For sure. For sure. That's great. And I'm curious now that the EP's been out, it's almost coming on a month now at this point.
Hmm.
You've been able to get some listener feedback. I mean, you had also mentioned some of these tracks were tracks you had done in the church as well. So I'm
Hmm.
just curious how hearing the feedback impacts you, maybe on a personal level, but then also in how you react or interact with the tracks moving forward, if that changes for you at all.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, definitely glad to hear encouraging feedback, how people are connecting with the songs, the ones we've written. Like I said, we've sang a couple of them for years and years in our local church, and um, people have seemed to connect with those and be excited for new versions, if you will, or to be able to listen at home instead of just hearing it on the weekend. Um, I'm a pretty insecure person, even that's kind of birthed out of that new song, that I internalize a lot of feedback and have a lot of negative self-talk, if you will. So it's a weird thing to answer, I guess. I mean, I'm excited when people they hear maybe musical moments that we were going for. I like production and thinking through how the songs are arranged. And so when there's a unique moment there that connects with somebody, even musically,
Mhm.
not just lyrically, that's exciting and it makes me want to do that more. Definitely, it's a gift for our local church first, before anyone else outside of our walls that we are excited to share with them and just to hear um, how people connect personally with that message of feeling insecure. Um, it's not something we like to talk about too often, or having doubts or fears or struggling with sin or questioning God. And
Mhm.
when you step out and kind of say, "This is what I feel," a lot of the time, and somebody goes, "Oh, I feel that too," it's comforting for sure.
For,
There's a
for sure.
community. Hmm.
Yeah. And I was actually wondering, both of you had mentioned that you co-wrote the tracks on this. So you're bringing your personal story, your piece to these. And obviously, others who don't have that same story are still able to connect and find a thread in these songs. So I'm just curious, um, if you think through that, how you think through that when you're bringing your story, but knowing that it's still going to be able to connect with someone who doesn't have the same story as you.
Yeah, I think at least for me, I don't think about that very much in the
Okay.
writing process. I think for me, it's just thinking about trying to be authentic to what the Lord is bringing to my heart and my life at the time. Because I think if I tried to think too much of like, how can I relate this to other people, it wouldn't be authentic anymore, to
Mhm.
what is going on in my heart. And so I think when writing, just trying to, for me personally, it's more just going, here's what's going on kind of between me and the Lord. And I, in the end, I hope that others can relate or worship the Lord with this, or, but I think in the writing process, I try to just keep it intimate between, what God is kind of revealing in my heart, in my life. And then, yeah, just hoping that that will resonate with others later down the road.
Yeah, and I'd say it depends on the context of even in the right what we're what we're shooting for.
Mhm.
Um, there's definitely songs that we've written that are just a prayer and it's between you and Jesus and then it seems that he uses it to connect with others, and because we all have our personal relationship with him, and um, they're not always even corporate worship songs, if you will. So some of the songs that we've written throughout the years, even the one Revolution Medicine that Kelsey wrote, is just a prayer, and so we haven't really sang that at church for worship in our services, but we've sang it at outreach concerts and whatnot, and people have connected with it or been encouraged. And
Mhm.
so that's an example of like a prayer that connects with people. And then there's certainly songs that we and have entered in with the idea of, hey, this is for the church. This is for how can we make it more singable? How can we make it more corporate inviting, that we can sing it together? And so there's a balance between those two. I would say each song and each co-write, and definitely in the production, like I said, I try to think through that of how are people going to connect with it, whether it's again one of those prayer songs that people are just listening to and it's between them and the Lord, or if it's for the church, how can we allow for more response to him for our corporate setting? So
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious, in your current season of life and kind of where you are now, is there a track or a lyric in one of the tracks that's just speaking to you personally right now, with what you're going through?
hmm. Yeah, good question. I would say, yeah, the in the song "No One Knows Me Like You," there's a part in the bridge that says, I'm gonna blank on the exact lyrics, but basically that I can rest now. I'm known. I found my place. I'm secure. There's been a lot of feelings throughout my life of if somebody knows, if they knew this about me, or if they knew what I'm thinking or what I've done, that I would lose standing with them or lose their trust or how they view me. And understanding that God doesn't work that way, that I'm his child first, and no matter what I'm thinking or doing, if I'm trying to walk with him, he sees that, and there's grace, and that I'm secure in him and what he's done, not in my own performance, not in my own ability or understanding of a situation. So that's given a lot of comfort, singing about that God gives me a home and I can rest and just kind of take a deep breath rather than to have to like put up a front or hold on because I don't want to lose my security, if you will. So my security depends on him, not on myself. So
That's really good. Yeah, I've really been encouraged by that song. I wasn't a part of that writing, and so it's just been a gift to just hear what's come of that, and the lyrics have been really encouraging. I think too, a couple of the songs talk about heaven, and that to me has been really relevant to my heart right now. My mom passed away last year, and so I think those lyrics have just become more real. You know, you sing about that a lot in church. It's, and look forward to that, but even more so now, that is like, oh, that is my home and I can't wait to be there. And so to see Jesus, obviously, to see my mom. And so I think that's been really impactful on my heart right now, is just the songs that talk about heaven and our future home with Jesus. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I think I'll close just with one final question for you. And I think it's more like, what conversations do you hope that these tracks kind of initiate or propel, or like what's on your heart that for the impact of these songs as you put them out in this form and this packaging?
mhm. Yeah, good question. I think our first and foremost desire always with anything we put out creatively or ministry that we do in our church is for people to have a deeper relationship with Jesus, a more
Mhm.
meaningful, more impactful to be more authentic before him. Growing up in church, there's definitely, it's easy to sing a song and not connect with the lyrics, not really even think about what you're singing. And so hopefully there's authentic understanding before Jesus of that he sees all of us. He sees all that we are, all that we've done, all that we're going to do. He knows all those things. And we don't have to run. We don't have to hide. We don't have to perform. We don't have to fake it, that he just sees us. And so I'm hopeful for that in this project, through that, the title track, but also through songs like Holy Savior. That's really just a personal walk with Jesus, that we are his children, that we can take his hand and he'll walk with us. And so I would hope that there's just authentic worship of the Lord. Sometimes that what we see in the Psalms, that's not always clean and pretty and put together. Sometimes it's singing in anger, or singing in fear, or singing in confusion,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately coming back to, you are God. You're in control, you're
Mm-hmm.
sovereign, and we can we can respond to him, that he's holy, that he's
Yeah.
good, that he's the king of the universe. And so that would be my prayer for folks as they listen and they reflect on the lyrics and they sing to Jesus through it, that whatever circumstance they're in doesn't have to be all pretty and polished and cleaned up for like a Sunday morning. They can just be real before the Lord in their car, or in their house, in their bed, whatever, wherever they're at. So
Mm-hmm.
be my answer.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think, sometimes there are people in your life that maybe they're not going to want to come to church, or, that seems too much to them, but you could share a song that's from your heart, and they may be more willing to listen to something like that. And so I think just the same thing, the more that we can just talk about the way that Jesus has affected our own lives, like just that these songs are personal, they are truly been a part of us. And I think knowing that, hoping that that will just show people, hey, Jesus wants to be personal with you. He wants to be real with you. He wants to enter in whatever you're going through. And so I think just a prayer that, yeah, basically the same thing, just that it can be a piece of something that brings someone to think about Jesus more and just wonder about that relationship. So
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you both again for taking the time to chat. It's been really great to hear more of your heart and how you go about the music. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
yeah,
Jesse.
thank you for your thoughtful questions.
Yeah.